Some things are meant to stay hidden, not because they lack evidence, but because they change everything we believe about reality. Past life memories fall into that category. You've heard stories, children recalling details of lives they never lived, people speaking languages they've never learned, unexplained skills and fears that make no sense. But what if I told you that this isn't just folklore or personal anecdotes? What if I told you that the CIA, the very organization built on secrecy and intelligence, conducted studies on this, and the results were so compelling that they classified them? It happened. The documents exist, and today I'm going to break down what they found. Before we get into the specific cases, we need to understand why this was even a concern for the government. The study of past lives isn't just about curiosity. If people's memories could transcend lifetimes, what does that say about the mind? More importantly, what does it say about control? If information survives death, then secrets do too. Governments, intelligence agencies, and those in power thrive on controlling information. That's why for decades, past life studies weren't just dismissed, they were actively buried. 1. The Bridey-Murphy case, CIA interest in hypnotic regression. One of the earliest cases that caught the CIA's attention was the Bridey-Murphy case in the 1950s. A woman named Virginia Tighe was put under hypnosis and suddenly began speaking in an Irish accent, recalling details of a past life as a woman named Bridey Murphy, who lived in 19th century Ireland. She provided specific names, locations, and historical details that were later verified, despite the fact that Virginia had never been to Ireland. This case sparked massive public interest and led intelligence agencies to investigate whether hypnotic regression could reliably unlock past life memories. The CIA later funded multiple covert hypnosis experiments trying to replicate these results. They discovered that certain individuals, especially young children, were highly susceptible to recalling past life memories under deep hypnosis. This led them to wonder, could these memories be controlled, erased, or even manipulated? 2. MKUltra's mind control and past life memory experiments. Most people know about MKUltra, the CIA's mind control program that used LSD, hypnosis, and extreme psychological torture to manipulate human consciousness. But what isn't widely known is that some of these experiments focused on past life memories. Declassified documents show that subjects were put through intense hypnotic regression while under the influence of psychedelic drugs. The goal? To see if traumatic past life experiences could be recalled and weaponized. If a subject had a past life memory of being tortured or executed, could that fear be used to control them? Could a subject be convinced that their past life trauma still affected them, altering their behavior in the present? Some test subjects reported memories of being persecuted in previous lives, memories so vivid they caused intense emotional distress. The CIA saw this as a potential tool for psychological warfare, but the side effects were too unpredictable. Some subjects came out of the experiments with permanent identity confusion, unable to distinguish their past lives from their present one. 3. The reincarnation files, classified Russian research. During the Cold War, the CIA obtained classified documents from Soviet intelligence, revealing that Russian scientists were conducting their own experiments on past life memory. They studied children who claimed to recall past lives and found something shocking. Many of these children had birthmarks or scars that matched fatal wounds from their alleged previous lives. One of the most bizarre cases involved a 5-year-old boy in Moscow who recalled being a World War II pilot shot down over Germany. He named the plane model, his squadron, and even his own former name. When Russian officials investigated, they found that the pilot he described had actually existed and was reported missing in action. The Soviets took this seriously and began using hypnotic regression and brain stimulation techniques to retrieve past life memories. The results were alarming. Some subjects recalled skills from their past lives, such as fluency in dead languages or technical knowledge of machinery they had never seen before. This led Russian intelligence to believe that knowledge could transfer across lifetimes, which had massive implications for military and intelligence applications. 4. The Philip experiment. Can consciousness create past lives? One of the most controversial studies related to past life memories wasn't conducted by the CIA, but its implications were enough to catch their attention. The Philip experiment, conducted in 1972 by Canadian researchers, involved a group of people who were asked to invent a fictional character named Philip. complete with a backstory, memories, and personal details. After weeks of focus, Philip seemingly came to life. During seance-like sessions, the group began receiving intelligent responses from their imaginary character. Philip answered questions, provided details they had never discussed, and even moved objects. If a completely made-up personality could become real under the right conditions, what did that say about past lives? Could past life memories actually be manifestations of consciousness itself? If so, did the CIA find a way to manufacture past life memories for their own purposes? 5. The Patton experiment. Did a US general remember his past lives? One of the most intriguing figures in military history to claim past life memories was General George S. Patton, the famous US Army commander during World War II. Patton believed he had fought in multiple wars across different centuries and often spoke of vivid memories of past battles. He claimed to have been a Roman legionnaire, a Napoleonic general, and a cavalry commander in the American Civil War. His memories weren't vague. He described battlefields, tactics, and locations with eerie accuracy. In one instance, he stood on a battlefield in France and pointed out where troops had clashed centuries earlier, before archaeologists later confirmed the exact battle had taken place. The US military took his claims seriously enough to investigate whether his knowledge came from extensive historical study or something else entirely. Declassified documents suggest that intelligence officials interviewed Patton, attempting to determine whether past life memories could give a strategic advantage in warfare. If a general could remember combat experience from previous centuries, could they be trained through reincarnation? Could a soldier's skills and instincts carry over from lifetime to lifetime? While no official conclusion was released, the idea that reincarnation could be used as a military asset was deeply unsettling for intelligence agencies. 6. The lost Russian experiment that terrified the West. During the Cold War, intelligence agencies weren't just gathering information, they were testing the limits of human capability. One of the experiments was conducted in the Soviet Union, where researchers studied children who could recall past lives with extreme accuracy. These children, some as young as 3, could describe military operations, secret codes, and even technological advancements from decades prior. When the CIA got wind of this, they panicked. If a child could remember classified details from a previous life, what did that mean for national security? The study was shut down, but not before American intelligence agencies began their own experiments. Declassified documents show that during the 1970s, US scientists worked with hypnotists to induce past life recall in test subjects. What they found was disturbing. Some individuals recalled working on weapons projects decades before they were even born, describing details that lined up with real historical events. This wasn't coincidence, and it certainly wasn't something the government wanted the public to know. 7. The boy who proved death wasn't the end. One of the most famous cases ever studied involved a young boy who remembered being a World War II pilot. His nightmares started early, screaming about crashing, being trapped in a burning plane, and calling out names his parents didn't recognize. At first, his family thought it was just an overactive imagination. But then, he started naming specific aircraft models, recalling flight paths, describing details that no 5-year-old could know. His parents investigated and found that every detail he mentioned matched the life of a real pilot who died in 1945. The family of the deceased confirmed personal details the boy could have never known. But here's where it gets even stranger. When shown pictures of the deceased pilot's old squadron, the boy pointed to himself. "That's me." This case was so compelling that it caught the attention of intelligence agencies. If memories survived death, what else did? More importantly, could past knowledge be accessed deliberately? The implications were enormous. 8. The man who spoke a dead language in his sleep. Language is one of the most complex things the brain can process. So when a man in his 30s with no exposure to ancient civilizations started speaking fluent Sumerian in his sleep, researchers had no explanation. His wife recorded it and brought the tapes to linguists. They confirmed it was real, an extinct language that hadn't been spoken in thousands of years. Under hypnosis, he revealed shocking details. He described himself as a priest in an ancient temple, performing rituals that historians later verified as authentic. But what was truly bizarre was his reaction to modern life. He panicked when shown images of cars and electricity. He had never seen them before. In his mind, he was still in the past. Cases like this weren't just dismissed, they were studied. Because if the mind could retain knowledge from centuries ago, what else did it remember? And more importantly, could it be controlled? 9. The military remote viewing program that went too far. The CIA's infamous STARGATE project was meant to test psychic abilities for intelligence gathering. What they didn't expect was for test subjects to recall information from before their own lifetimes. During controlled sessions, trained remote viewers were asked to describe unknown locations, but instead of simply identifying hidden targets, some described entire landscapes, mountains, rivers, cities that no longer existed. One participant under hypnosis described life as a soldier in ancient Rome, detailing military formations that historians later verified as historically accurate. This was impossible, but it kept happening. Subjects recalled life as medieval scholars, tribal leaders, even figures from civilizations long lost to history. The question wasn't whether past life memories were real. It was why the government was so interested in them. 10. The Harvard study that got shut down. In the 1980s, a group of Harvard researchers decided to test past life regression under controlled conditions. They worked with patients who, under hypnosis, recalled details from past lives. But what made this study different was the level of verification they conducted. They tracked down records, cross-referenced names, and found that in several cases, the information matched real historical individuals. The study was never officially published. Pressure from external agencies led to funding cuts, and the lead researchers were encouraged to pursue other areas of study. It was clear, certain people did not want this information widely known. Because if past lives were real, then the implications went beyond science. They touched on power, identity, and the very fabric of reality itself. 11. Children who recognized their own graves. One of the most disturbing patterns found in past life research is children who recognize places they've never been to before. In multiple cases, young children have led their parents to locations where they claim to have been buried in a previous life. When the families investigated, they found unmarked graves in the exact locations the children described. In one case, a child in India accurately described a past life as a man who was murdered. The child gave names, locations, and details about his former family. When the story reached local authorities, they reopened the murder case, and it turned out the child's description was entirely accurate. The man had been killed, and his murderer had never been caught. 12. The brain activity that spikes at death. One of the most recent discoveries in neuroscience shows that right before death, the brain experiences a massive spike in activity. Some researchers believe this is proof that the mind is uploading itself somewhere else. Others argue that it's the body's last attempt at survival. But if memories truly do transcend death, then what's being uploaded? Intelligence agencies have studied this phenomenon closely, attempting to determine if consciousness is truly a separate entity from the brain. Because if it is, then memory, identity, and even thought itself might not be as bound to the body as we once believed. The truth is, past life research has been quietly studied for decades, and those in power have known for a long time that the mind is far more powerful than we're led to believe. If you have made it this far, comment down below with the word 100% to confirm that you have received the knowledge from this video. For more interesting topics, make sure you watch the recommended video that you see on the screen right now. Thanks for watching.